Welcome, everyone, to another powerful episode of the 100% podcast, where, yes, you are 100% effed up and still simultaneously 100% lovable. And nothing that you've done and nothing that has been done to you ever diminishes how truly lovable you are. I'm your host, Chaya Garcia, relationship expert, and today we have an amazing guest that I am so honored and thrilled to have on the stage. Carine Van Hee is a visual artist, a survivor of abuse, and super important, the author of the amazing book, which I highly recommend everyone getting, called Is It Me? The Hidden System Behind Toxic Relationships. So, guys, this is going to be epic. Welcome to the stage, Carine.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Really excited.
I'm so happy to have you here. Carine, let's just dive right in for these listeners to get the juicy details they need, to get the healing they may or may not know they want. So, what was your abusive relationship story that was the breaking point? If you can zoom in and go to that moment where you realized this is worse than I've been telling myself, what was that kind of breaking point looking like and feeling like to you? The things he said to you, the things he did, and the way you emotionally responded.
Yeah. I've been in that situation, in that relationship for 4 years and a half. And before it had only been words and emotional abuse. I didn't know it at that time. But there was that one moment. I had just given birth to a wonderful son. He was 1 month old, and it was in the middle of the night. And I was getting up because it was feeding time. And I was bending over into the crib because I wanted to take my son out of it. And at that time, I could feel like this explosive energy standing next to me. And he started shouting. I can't even remember what he was shouting. But my ex-husband turned around and he just grabbed me and just shook me like a big bag of potatoes and then threw me out of on the couch that was in our room. And the most frightening part was that he then turned around, walked from me towards the crib, and then bent over into the crib. And at that time, like everything just silenced. It was devastating. And I remembered thinking, he's going to take the son out of the crib. He's going to just throw him against the wall because he was so angry. So he takes the son out of the crib. These are these situations where you move into something. I don't know, is this universe helping you? I don't know, but I remember that I stood up from the couch and I started talking to him. I must have said the right things because he moved down towards the living room and then he put down the son in one of his cribs in the living room. And I said to him, "You must be tired, just go back to sleep." And he did. And it was that time, that moment, that just was so devastating that I thought, I have to seek help. Because that night, I just counted every second of that night until dawn, until I heard him leaving the house. That was breaking point for me. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's so powerful and important that we as women can see and hear the end results of abuse before the shit hits the fan, meaning it never starts that way, but it ends that way. And how was your journey of realizing that while it didn't start off with him almost killing your child because he was in a rage, maybe drunk, maybe high, maybe something, out of his mind. But what was the journey then up until that moment where he threatened your life and your baby's life and you were so scared that you lied to yourself and said it was okay? Because the abuse never starts there, but it always gets there. So what were some of the earlier signs during the relationship that were more subtle, but you can see now were actually signs of disturbing person.
Yeah. We all know how it starts. It's a story that is the same almost for everybody. I think that's why I like your podcast so much, because we all hear these different stories, but not all the stories will resonate. And sometimes it helps when you hear a story for somebody else and that really resonates, that makes you think. When I met my ex-husband, I thought I had found my soulmate, and we all have when we're in a toxic relationship, because they're really good in giving you the attention, the love and the care and the support that you need. And I absolutely adored being around him. It was really great. And then we had lots of laughter, lots of good conversations, lots of and perhaps there were many red flags that I didn't see, but the first big red flag that I should not have missed is we were moving really fast. Really fast. This means I was married after 1 year, moved in really quickly, took care of his kids really quickly, because he had been divorced 2 years before. He had 2 wonderful kids. But after 1 year and a half of being in a relationship with him, and some critique came up, I didn't see that as a red flag. Some belittling came up, I didn't see that as a red flag. After 1 year and a half, I remember what we were doing. It was a Saturday afternoon, and we were having coffee. And I just love to have coffee with that human being, because it was always so interesting. This conversation would go all over the place, and I would always learn something. And I remember sipping coffee, having conversations, and 1 second we were having a conversation, and the next second he stands up and just hits me in the face, flat hand, and was like so surprised. So I got up and I said to him, okay, for me, this is a reason for divorce. This is it. I'm not taking this. And then I took the dog and I went for a walk. And I couldn't wrap my head around it, that had happened. I couldn't even, I tried to replay the situation, the conversation, I couldn't. I tried to look after the reasons why for being hit, or what had happened, what did I say, what did he say, was it my behavior, what was it? And I went for an hour walk, and I came back and I didn't have any solution to all the whys. This first hit is like a big red flag. And I was educated in a way that people said, if they hit once, they will hit again. So I had my whole harness going up, like, okay, that's it. So when I returned, I didn't have answers to the whys. I walk in, and he's standing with his back towards me in the kitchen, and I go, okay, I'm not going to talk about it. I'll just leave it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm not going to put the whole thing, make it worse. And then the next day, his kids came. And what happened then is that he said, there's something I need to tell you. So I looked at him, and his kids came over, and we sitting together. And he says, yes, something awful happened yesterday. And now Carine is thinking of leaving us. And I could feel in my gut feeling, I could feel that there's something off in that situation, but I couldn't pinpoint it because I didn't know about the hidden system behind toxic relationships. So I could feel that why does he has his kids into this whole talk? It should be talk between 2 adults. He should not mingle his kids into it. I had never heard about triangulation, where they make sure that, like, it's now he's switching sides, right? Now I was the abuser and they were the victim because I was gonna leave them.
Wait, let's highlight that.
It's so important.
We need to highlight that for the people listening.
Yes.
Carine was hit, went for a walk to try to create some space with herself to make sense of it. Couldn't find any answers because abuse doesn't make any sense.
No.
It is irrational. That's the point. The point is the unpredictability. You don't know when it's coming, so it always makes you confused.
Totally.
And you lose your sense of self. And then instead of addressing it to her, like, Carine, I'm so sorry I hit you. I will work on myself. No, he ignored her. You ignored you. He ignored your emotions. He put your back to you. And instead of making him responsible for his behavior, he made you responsible for his behavior by bringing the kids in it. And sometimes it's not kids, sometimes it's a family member,
Yeah,
sometimes it's a church,
friends.
sometimes it's friends, and says, you know what? Carine is thinking of leaving us. How dare she cause us so much pain? And then you subconsciously need to defend yourself and be like, no, 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 I don't want to hurt you guys. And then slowly your self-awareness and sense of self deteriorated until you were in a more state of confusion. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, it's totally confusing. And what happened is I looked at the kids and I saw one of his daughter tearing up. I go like, oh my God. But then what happened is he said, hey, let's make this the best day of our lives. Let's go for indoor climbing. Let's go for spaghetti. Let's go for the movies. And that's what we did. So because of the fact that he had his two kids into the play, you just go like, okay, we need to talk about this when we're together one-on-one as adults, not with the kids. So I just left it. But this means that this is the first excuse, and another excuse, we'll talk about it later. That's what I said to myself. I'm talking about it later. Let's take this day as it comes, and then we'll see later. So you push it aside and you keep on having all these excuses why you don't talk about it openly anymore, because you want to leave it. And that's where it starts. And I didn't know this was a big red flag. So I should have left then. And I didn't. So what happened then is the cycle of abuse, as we all know. When the explosion has happened and they say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it again. He never ever said, sorry, I'm not going to do it again. And I never went back to that situation to point out that that was really wrong or something. So I didn't open the conversation again about the fact that he hit me. So, and then we go into that wonderful period of balance and harmony, and everything goes well. And then the question is that I ask myself is, okay, if he hit me once, he's going to hit me again. How long will that take? A few weeks? A few months? I'm just going to sit and wait. I'm just going to see. I'm just going to discover. I'm just going to be open. And then it just went on. We were in harmony. It was all wonderful. I get along well with his two kids. It was just care and support and love. I felt. So I started to doubt. And for a year, over a year, we were like, I had the best family life ever. It felt so balanced and so good. And so then my harness started dropping again. And they know, they feel it. And that's when the next level of the abuse started. He invited me on a Friday evening. He said, there's a new cafe opening up in the neighborhood. Why don't we go and have a talk and something to drink? I say, yeah, that's lovely. And that's when the next abusive, the next level, the next component of the hidden system started. He said, I always want, I can't talk about this. I said, come on, what's on? He said, yeah, there's something. I have a huge desire, a wish, a dream, and but I never dared to talk about it. I said, come on, we're open, just talk about it. He said, I always wanted.
I want to finish your sentence for you because I
Tell
want to
me.
right. I want to see if I'm right, guys. I've never spoken to Carine before. Something about another woman. That's what. Anyways, did it have anything to do with sexuality? Okay, keep going. Okay, go.
No, but that happened as well.
Okay,
But
because it
yeah,
happens a lot, but
yeah.
at some
But
point they say, I need more. Okay, anyways, keep going.
No, what he said is, and watch this. He said, my ex never wanted to give it to me. He wanted a child.
Oh, okay.
And this is so obvious. When you talk about toxic relationship, they will go as quickly as possible They will move as quickly as possible and will make you invest into the relationship as quickly as possible. And that's going to be, let's live together, let's marry together, let's marry, let's invest in something big, let's start a business together, let's have a child, because now you're under their control. And I didn't know. And of course I said yes, because I got along so well with these 2 kids. And I was 35. So you can feel the pressure. And I said yes, because I really believed that we were past it all now. And we're not.
I want to highlight one thing before we continue this beautiful journey that you're illuminating on the systems of abuse, because again, I've spoken to so many women and they're all similar. Different men, different women all over the world, same system, same story, same pattern. So Tony Robbins always says, just get to know the patterns.
Get to know the patterns. Absolutely. I love that man.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
I want to highlight something before we continue, and I'm going to come back to this exact moment. You, when you met him, felt like he was your soulmate, that you enjoyed talking to him, that there was some high levels of chemistry. Can we just do a little like blurb where you speak about how you felt in regards to him being your soulmate, and now that you're like out of it, you can see how high levels of chemistry and that he's your person and that he's your soulmate is actually signs of toxicity, not signs of safety, which is a true soulmate.
Yeah. I really believe that people who are unhealthy, toxic, have narcissistic traits, they can feel they're spotting people that have actually already a crack in them. That something is not whole, that we have a wound, and we are many with wounds, and there are many unhealthy people out there as well. So there's something they can sense. And I remember when I met him for the very first time, I also could feel there was so many things in common. It was almost not possible.
I want to just take a second. Wait, 1 second.
Yes.
I want to hear listeners listen to this. There's 2 things that are extremely common in toxic relationships: high levels of chemistry, not like I feel safe and calm with this person, but high levels of excitement and connection. And the other thing of systems of toxic relationships is insane levels of synchronicity.
Yes.
So you think you're a soulmate because my mom's name was Jane Linda and was born on June 1st, and your mom's name was Jane Linda and born on June. No way. And so you feel like this has to be your soulmate because both your moms were named Jane Linda and both your grandmothers were in Hungary and both your kids died of DUIs. So it has to be your soulmate, whoever would understand you in this way. But it is actually a weird pattern of the universe to bring people into toxicity because they attach themselves to the synchronicity instead of the true safety.
Yeah, it feels safe. It feels safe because I remember that when the first conversation between the 2 of us, we talked, I was renovating my house, my own house, little house, and 1874, so a really old house. And I was renovating it on my own and was working in the garden. And he passed by and we started talking. And I said, yeah, I'm renovating the house. He said, oh, wow. Are you doing this on your own? That's impressive. And then we talked about sports because he was into sports and I'm into sports. He goes, I've never met somebody, and then how it goes. And then I like traveling. Oh, do you like traveling? I like traveling as well. I'm a backpacker. Oh, I'm a backpacker as well. So many things in common. So by the time that he left, he walked back to his home. I didn't walk back into my house. I danced because it felt like I don't know, energizing. I was like, this is not possible. When you feel this is not possible, this is like a first red flag. There you have it. I didn't know that, but they spot that there's something in you that needs some special attention, some special care, some special love, and that's where they come in. I didn't know that.
Yes, and for women listening, low self-esteem is the common denominator of how women get into abusive relationships. It's essentially low self-esteem plus I just lost that word I was about. Empathy. So for a woman, having high empathy and low self-esteem is like the perfect recipe for men to sense who can they attach themselves to through giving them extra attention and love, but then eventually going to take down their sense of self enough to abuse them and keep them attached.
And I think when I think back, I think I attracted because when I was 30, I divorced from my very first marriage. I was 2 years on my own, still like a bit wobbly, renovating my own house, trying to find out who I was. So I was not fully in balance, and they know and they feel that. They go for people who are not 100% taking care of themselves yet, who are not fully in balance yet, who don't know their boundaries, or do not know how to protect their boundaries. Self-knowledge is so important, I understood afterwards. So there's a lot of gifts that came out of that relationship because of all the wounds that it caused me. But I would never have grown so much if I would never have been in that relationship neither. So it's...
Yes, we can always find silver linings from things we've gone through, but even better is to prevent them in a healthy way.
That's why I've written the book. I thought, now I need to talk about this because I'm sure, you know, for 2 decades, when I left that relationship, I know we're going a bit all over the place, but when I left that relationship, I called it at that time complex, confusing, difficult, because I didn't have the language for it. I didn't know what happened. I didn't have any language to express myself. But what hurt me the most is that that people seem to support the one who had been hurting me the most. I couldn't wrap my head around that. And for 2 decades, I've been looking for answers in therapy and courses, and I went back to high school to study for 3 years. And the whys just stayed there until in 2024. So that's recent. It took me 2 decades to understand. That in 2024, I understood for the very first time, okay, it's a system. He has never loved me. It's a system that has been used on me. And that was like the biggest aha moment ever. And I thought, okay, what if I'm not the only one who's being burdened by all these whys? And that's why I'm so happy that you have this podcast and this platform that we can learn from each other.
This is exactly why I have the podcast, to illuminate the systems and the patterns that are the same, literally the same for every abuse, every woman of all over the world, all different ages, religions, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
And it's important that we understand how we feel when it's safe and consistent and stable and calm, which is true love, versus highs and lows and high levels of chemistry. And I'm confused. Oh, but then I'm clear and I'm confused. And I've never met anyone like this. And the connection's never been better. Oh, but now I'm a little bit afraid. Oh, but I'm going to just shove it away. And I won't tell anyone, but I'll just drink or get high or distract myself with work, whatever it is. And so thank you for sharing your story. And now let's zoom back in where we left off, which is he is now blaming you after he smacked you, and then and you're like, whoa, I'm not going to accept this. Now he brought the kids in and said, you're the abuser. You're thinking of leaving because, of some situation, and put all the kind of like energetic shift back to you without taking awareness and responsibility. So what happened after that?
So what happened? So it was only 1 year of like harmony and balance. And then we decided to have a kid.
Right.
And that's when it went really, really wrong. The moment I was pregnant, everything shifted.
Yeah.
It was like opening a door to something totally new. I didn't know what was happening. He, in the mornings, would say to me, get out of bed. You're pregnant, not dead. I go like, huh? What? I'm so tired. The first 3 months, you're so tired. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I could not rest. I could not, it felt so confused. And I felt confused. It was unpredictable. I started working on eggshells all the time, started to sense the room when he was entering to understand how does he look, how is his behavior, how does he open the door, all these small things it was like devastating. And I didn't understand what was happening. What I didn't I also couldn't understand the difference between before and now. This should have been the most happy period of my life. I was pregnant. I was 36 years old. And I was so happy with having a child. I was so looking forward to that. And then I was in the biggest misery ever when it came to relationships. So I was trying to put it in two different boxes, the relationship, which was really going sour, and then me being pregnant and so happy with the human being in my belly. So it was so difficult to understand what was happening. And I thought the difficulties were also visible to the outside world. And that's a big mistake. It's not. Because outside of the house, people just loved him. People were... he had many friends and they all loved him. They liked his humor and how he was helping them out, a bit of a community helper. And then you come inside and he's a totally different being. So he only takes the mask off in the house. He always has the mask. And I didn't understand. It just hijacks your mind that nobody sees what you actually have to go through. And you want to talk about it. And people go like, yes, but we all have troubles in relationship. All relationships goes up and down. It's a generational thing. It's whatever excuse, but they don't understand because they don't know. And I didn't know that they didn't know it. You want to say something, Chaya?
Crying inside for how many women go through what you go through, because narcissists and classic abusers are extraordinary in the community because they have such low self-esteem and they're so deranged and they know that what they do is bad, but they don't know how to stop it. So they do all of this community work. They volunteer at churches or synagogues and they give charity and they are on the PTA and they're the soccer coach and all they do all this stuff for the community and everyone loves them and they have, you know, they're funny and charming and make jokes and give people things. And so the whole community thinks this person's amazing. And then they go home and they abuse the woman in their life so severely, like physical, sexual, emotional, and no one knows. And then if you try to get help, all they say is, well, like exactly what you said, everyone has relationships. It's not that bad. Just work on it. And they don't understand the system of abuse. So can you just say again that part? I think the world needs to hear it.
You start doubting when I was pregnant and I started doubting because he started being really, he was talking me down. He came up with critics all the time.
Say what he said. Say what he said. Say some of the things you remember.
I just have a blackout. The biggest thing that came up was the fact that in the mornings that he said, "You're not dead. You're pregnant. Get out of bed. You're too emotional. That's something else." And then you think, "Okay, I'm pregnant. I'm probably too emotional because my emotions. I'm pregnant, so he's probably right." But what else was there? You're not as tidy as I thought you were.
You're not as what as I thought you were?
Tidy. You're not as tidy as I thought you were. You go like, clean up yourself. But you could. I knew I couldn't say that any longer. So you know what you can say. You know what you can't say anymore. The biggest thing is that the difference between outside of the house and inside the house. And I was sure that people would discover one day or another that he was not a very nice guy when he was in the house, but nobody saw it because it's in the house, it's between the four walls that you call home. And when they're outside, they're just loving and caring and very connecting and helping people out. So when you talk even to family and friends, when you talk about the real stuff, you say, yeah, but I want to check somebody. I remember I saw one of my because I want actually help me remind that I want to come back to the morning after that he shook me like a bag of potatoes because there's something happening. There happened something that is really important. But After that, I went to talk to one of my best friends. That it was a colleague, best friend, and I said, "Can I talk to you?" She says, "Yeah, let's go for a walk." And she says, "But I'm not going to take any sides." I said, "Yes, but I need to check something." So I talked about the fact that he was one explosive person that stood up next to me in the middle of the night, shouting at me, grabbing me, and just shake me, and then throwing me on the couch. And I talked about that, and she says, "I'm not going to take sides. I think you need to solve it yourself." I cannot understand that there was not one person who was giving back to me, "Carine, this is abuse." I cannot understand. So I think the more we talk about it, the more we can be a better friend and a better family member when it comes to abuse. They just don't see the whole picture. And they can't, because he's only taking his mask off in the house. And that I didn't know.
Carine, I just want to say thank you for illuminating this, because I use that word a lot, but it means to shine light. Illuminate means to shine light, to make something clear. And for women, if you're in an abusive situation, people won't understand. And it's important that you get help from people who are specialized in relationship and domestic abuse.
Absolutely.
I have this situation now in my community, and I'm Jewish, so the rabbis are ignorant on domestic abuse. Why would they? They studied, Jewish law. They didn't study domestic violence and systems of toxic abuse. So whatever place you are in this world, whatever religion you are in this world, whatever age you are, people are not educated on the patterns of abuse. So if you feel unsafe and you speak to someone and they do not encourage you to leave, that is ignorance that can cause you your life.
Yes.
And it is not something to allow yourself to stay in a relationship that is not safe. Safe relationships don't make you question yourself, and they don't stop you from speaking freely. And in my relationship that is healthy, I'm able to say anything and everything, whether it's good or bad or whatever emotion, right? So if you're listening to this, don't expect people to understand when you need to leave.
No.
Learn that if you're unsafe, it's okay to leave, and it's okay to leave now.
Yeah. I want to build further on that. I think it's really, really good point you're making there, because experts in the field, social workers, the court, your doctor, they're not educated about the hidden system. So what happens is what happened with me as well is that you try to explain something and they don't understand you because they don't know. And it's not conscious. It's just they don't know. So I see it as my almost mission, duty, to educate people to see the system and support the survivor, not enable the story of the abuser. So that's something I'm on the journey to highlight. But it's amazing how many people do not know about, and they question you. And so when I left the relationship, about 95% of my friends just turned away. I was left alone. Being alone and lonely when you need help hurts. So when you say, please contact people that you can talk to, that you trust, and that know about the system behind toxic relationship, who have been educated like yourself, is so important. I think it's better to call a toll-free number where you can talk about to somebody, a volunteer on abuse. I know it's a big word. Even it's only words, it's still abuse. It's bad behavior. So if you're not sure, go and talk to somebody like that, has some expertise and can perhaps help you figure out whether, is this something or is this not something? When I was in that relationship, I was thinking about that relationship a lot. I'm in a healthy relationship now, almost 18 years. Yay, celebration. And but I don't think about that relationship all the time. I think that's a red flag. If you think about your relationship all the time, I don't think it's a healthy one then.
So true. I've been in unhealthy relationships before in my marriage, which is
Mm-hmm.
part of how I became an expert in relationships and
Mm-hmm.
addiction and abuse and narcissism. And I was obsessed with thinking about them, like when I would see them, where they are, when they're going to come see me, if they're going to pick up my phone calls, is it going to work? Are they going to be high? Are they watching porn? Are we going to break up? Are we going to stay together? I was like, you can't not think because you're so unsafe that the threat of it subconsciously keeps you ruminating.
Yeah,
And now that
ruminating.
I'm, yeah, and now that I'm in a healthy relationship, I like barely, not barely think of my husband, but like I'm never worried about him. I'm just like, yeah,
Worry.
I know where he is. I know what he's doing. I know when the paycheck is coming. I know like his whole schedule. His
Mm-hmm.
schedule doesn't change. Like if he's not home, he's praying or at the gym. Like it's so simple, you know?
Yes.
And it doesn't take up any headspace. Like besides for like how can I do more date nights to like keep, you know, the time between us fresh
Mm-hmm.
instead of just a family with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
There's like it's almost no headspace
Mm-hmm.
except for that I'm just so happy in my marriage. So if you're for women listening, if you're like ruminating or wondering if it's
Oof.
you or if you're confused, if you're anxious, like that, those are the indicators of an abusive relationship because
Yes.
your energy and sense of self and ability to live life is being suctioned by the dark side.
Yes. Yes. You don't have a life of your own anymore. You're actually in your head all the time.
Yeah.
And as a visual artist, I'm a painter. So when I paint from the body. But what I felt when I was in the relationship, I didn't paint any longer, and I was in my head all the time because that's what they do. They make sure that you're in your head all the time. You're ruminating all the time, replaying conversations all the time. So and because of the unpredictability, you want to anticipate things. So you're always with them, not with you anymore. It's like it's a hell of a journey. Yeah. There's something else I wanted to say.
Yes, yes, yes.
When I left, no, not when I left. When that thing happened in the middle of the night, which was my pivotal moment, I go like, okay, I have to get out. This is getting really dangerous. And the next day when he left, I had a friend living around the corner, like really close, 5 minutes walk. So I phoned her. Oh, I hope she can take the phone. She takes the phone. She took the phone. I go like, I need to talk to you. You need to help me today. I wanted to get out before he came back. You need to help me today because something terrible happened last night, and it's just devastating. And she just stopped me in the middle of my phrase, and she said, "Look, Carine, life is not only about you. Sometimes things happen in life. Sometimes things happen in relationship. We have the same. Get up and get on with your life, will you?" And she just put down the phone. And I remember looking at my phone, I don't know for how long time, I just couldn't believe that my best friend didn't give me the help that I needed so much. I was like rock bottom, and she just said, "No, I'm not helping you." I never heard about the word enabler. She had fully become an enabler, and I didn't know. And it's strange because looking back, I now understand, because when I got to meet that wonderful human being, the next phase is like isolation, and I got to see my friends less and less. But these friends that were living around the corner, we kept on seeing them. And now I understand why, because he could manipulate them into believing his stories and not mine. So when I phoned, she had already been fed all these stories about me, about, I don't know which ones, but they were clear enough for them to take sides. Although I had been friends for over 10 years. It's devastating. It's devastating. An enabler is like, and you can have that with friends, you can have that in family, people just taking sides for what feels like no reason.
First of all, I'm so sorry that in your moment of desperation, because he threatened your life and threatened your baby's life in a state of mental illness and rage, and you finally reached out for help because it was so dangerous and so frightening, that you were already positioned for years to be the one who was a little crazy and unstable. intentionally through him and setting up an environment in the community where he was the better and stable one, that you were left alone in your fear.
Yeah.
And sometimes women don't make it. Sometimes women
For sure
call and they don't survive because the people around them have been so conditioned to sit down and shut up and take it and make peace and work it out and stay together and talk to, and it's a lot, 43% of women in the United States of homicide, all homicide women are killed by their intimate partner.
I know.
And so we need to give more validity to a woman's voice or a man's voice. Anyone who's saying, I am suffering, I need help, it should be taken, you should have been taken so seriously. And I'm so sorry that when you were so vulnerable and afraid, you had a community that was curated to never hear you by his interaction with them.
It hurts. It really hurts. I think we should talk about what you just said. First of all, thank you for seeing this, for hearing me, because I think it's important. And luckily, I had lots of years of therapy, so I had that message back to me already before. But it shows your care, and it's really, and I can feel it. So thank you.
My pleasure.
I can't remember what I wanted to say now because I could really feel the care. I remember. I'm 62. Sometimes I just forget. I just forget things. We should talk about post-mental abuse as well. So that phone call with my friend around the corner made me stay another 10 months. I was ready to leave when my son was 1 month old. I left when I was 10 months old. And it was a devastating time, ups and downs, pull and push, cold and warm. It was, I could see how he started to spot other women because the word divorce had been on the table. So I could see that he was like moving around, spotting other people, which made me really happy because I didn't want to continue with him. So it gave me like a safe space to start making my way out. When we leave as a victim, we have the belief that now he's going to leave us. It's going to be good. When I left 2 days later, he started a new relationship. In my mind, everything was okay now. He started a new relationship. He's not going to lash out at me anymore. I felt like there's freedom for me now. That's so wrong. You cannot reach closure with somebody who's toxic. They will always keep the door open to you. They might always come back to you. They might always lash out for whatever reason. So when you leave, that's the most dangerous situation ever. Don't go back into the house alone. Don't do things on your own. Make sure that you have like trusted friends or a social network around you that know what you're going to do. Don't get back into the house and collect things for your kids because it's so important. Don't do that. What I've learned is after 6 months, we were already living in different houses. At the handover of the son, he was 1.5 years. He just went berserk for whatever reason. And he threw me inside of the house with my son. I was holding my son, and he started to strangle me. I lived in a narrow street with all these houses lined up, and one of my neighbors that lived on the other side of the street had seen that. So she came running out of her house, and she shouted, "What the heck is going on there?" And he stopped strangling me and went outside. He left. If I wouldn't have had somebody like social somebody taking care of, or somebody reacting at that moment, I would not have been here anymore. Leaving, during the fact that you're leaving, you think freedom is there. I'm going to rebuild my life. It's going to be better now because he's just going on with somebody else. You think you went through the worst. No, you have to be careful. You have to be careful all the time. Certainly in the first months after during and after the divorce. And I hear in Norway, people start talking about that. Experts start talking about the fact that femicide is a huge problem, and that we should be aware as experts. So I'm always attending these digital courses and meetings with experts because I just want to hear. And there's some it's a growing awareness that this is really a difficult time and that we should be aware of that as experts, as family, and as friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that. It's so powerful to feel your stress of him hitting you, and when he first shook you and your child, and then you finally reaching out for help, only be denied by someone who said, shut the fuck up. Sorry, like, sit down,
Get on with your life.
Get on with your life. And every relationship has problems, so stop being so dramatic.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you go back and he, is already searching for his next victim. So
Yes.
narcissists, these people who are very, they're abusers. They are literally like prey when they go out. So he was already like a lion hunting for the weak gazelle, which gazelle is limping because that's going to be the next woman in my life.
Yeah.
And then instead of feeling a sense of relief when he finally left you, you realize that that's actually when almost the worst parts of abuse happen. And as somebody who is an expert, and I'm familiarized with this, and someone the other day said to me, I'm also a licensed social worker. How can you tell that someone has narcissism? I was like, this was on Facebook because, and it's stupid because it's social media. But I was like, my expertise, I didn't respond because I don't do stupid social media stuff. But in my head, yeah, it doesn't help. In my head, I was like, my expertise has nothing to do with the fact that I have 2 psychological degrees. It has to do with the millions of hours and books and meetings and interviews that I've done after my degrees to know what this abuse looks like. Mm-hmm. And one of them was a documentary of women who have low self-esteem, and it was prostitution that pimps, which are male narcissists and abusers, find women who have low self-esteem, give them a lot of attention and sex and money, and say, just do this for me. And they go, oh, of course, and then they get them into prostitution. And then a lot of times they get beaten and they die. So it's the same exact pattern, just without, the prostitution. It's just within the, just slightly different dynamics. But essentially you're doing a lot for him. You're cleaning the house. You're taking care of the kids. You're paying for this. But they die. And so when you said that he almost like he was going to kill you, like that was his intention when he strangled you. And I think it's important that we realize the man gets so afraid, the abuser gets so afraid that someone will find him out and that his power, which is how he functions, will be threatened because someone will tell people that he's really bad and he has to be good because that's how he thrives off this power, that he becomes so frightened that his whole sense of self will, all of his hard work will be gone, that he actually wants to kill the woman who left him, the one he's been abused for so long, because it's just such a threat to his whole life that he's built. And so women have to know this, because if we allow someone to have power over us, once we leave, that's when they think, I have to get her back. I have to make her pay. I have to end this so that, I can keep doing everything that I've been working hard to pretend.
The thing is, it's not visible.
It's not.
I didn't see it coming. He had already started with a lovely human being, a really nice woman. So I didn't see it coming at all. I didn't suspect that at all. So it came out of the blue. Yeah.
I also think, first of all, I'm so sorry that you were put in such a situation where you almost lost your life unexpectedly through someone else's rage.
Thank you. It's a long time ago now. But when you have all these whys in your head and you don't understand the whys, when I understood for the very first time it's a system, I could feel like the relief. The shame goes away. When you're in therapy, it's the same. You get insights, you have blind spots that you get insights to, and you feel like how you become lighter and lighter. So it's really helpful. But when I understood that it's a system, so as you say, it's a pattern behind toxic relations, I could feel like the shame go away in 2024. And then I went like, oh, I need to talk about this because the shame is gone. And there's a sense of freedom that helps you to stand up and be a voice for all the others. I'm not concerned about myself anymore. I'm concerned about the rest. And
Same.
we're so many. I need to say it. I hope it resonates with the listeners. It's not you. It's not you. You're not alone. Look at the stats. You're absolutely not alone. It's with men and with women. And I think men are even underrated in statistics because nobody goes to the police when they're a man. And yes, we can heal. Yes, we can heal. It's not a 28-day program, is it? To heal. It takes quite a while. But if you're curious and open, it can be a really, really nice journey as well, especially when you have coaches and people mentoring you and you get lovely feedback and care. It's wow, because you can restore things that were broken.
I love that word, restore. And even more so, it's empowering because once you learn the patterns, which is what I love about clients, it's like once you see them, you can't unsee them.
Exactly.
So subtle. They're so subtle that you almost can't see them if you're not taught. Like, you can't see them if you're not taught because they're so subtle that they're just a little bit confusing, but they're not so big in the beginning. But once you're taught, this is how they speak. This is what they speak about. You cannot unsee it. No. And so it's empowering because once I learned the patterns of addiction and codependency and abuse, I was able to spot it so fast that I never got into another relationship like that again. And then I avoided so many men. I was like, no. And everyone was like, you're so picky. I was like, no, I'm just educated. No. I go through guys. No. And then eventually my husband came and we got, not that I recommend this for people who are not highly educated, but I met him and he was so sober, so stable, so healthy, so commitment oriented, no grand gestures. And we got engaged very fast and we got married quickly after, which again, for narcissists, this is very dangerous. But for this relationship, which I was already a very, very high level expert, and we were also religious, which means we didn't touch or have sex before marriage. So there was absolutely no potential fornication. We were not kissing. We were not having sex. It was very much, we just dated to see our values and our systems of life. And now we've been married almost 10 years, very happily and very beautifully. And it's an extraordinary.
We should have a celebration.
I know.
We should have a celebration.
Next year is our 10th year. And I'm like, it's been 10 years. Oh my gosh, it's cool.
Isn't this a wonderful feeling?
It makes me sad for what people don't know that they can have.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy that I worked through it, but then I speak to so many women who are suffering and they think that my life is a fairy tale when it's not. I just learned how to prioritize my feelings instead of my thoughts because abusers think things through and healthy people feel things through.
Yeah. Yes. I think this is a really good point because I went to give a talk here to teenagers in Norway And they said, so what advice would you give to your younger self, was one of the questions. And I said, go slow. Whenever you meet new people, a new friend, a new colleague, romance, when you're dating, as teenagers are dating, go slow. Move as if you're in a swimming pool. Go as slow as possible, because it's a way to feel. We all have a navigational system. It's our belly, it's our gut feeling. And if you go slow, you can feel. You see them, you come home, you can feel. Don't go and sit into your head, because that's where they want you to end up, and that you start. So go slow. Another thing is, because trust takes time, right? When you think of a friend that you know for a very long time already, and when you're a teenager, it's perhaps 5 years or 10 years, you didn't trust each other from the first day on. He didn't say, you're my best buddy ever after 2 days. let's get into a relationship. No. It just takes time. It takes time to trust. You see them, you talk about emotional stuff or confidential stuff, and they don't talk to anybody else about it. That's good. That's trust. And then you talk. You give more information. They don't talk. They don't share it with anybody. Okay. Trust number 2. And then it takes time and time and time. Brené Brown talks about the jar of marbles when it comes to trust. You have to collect enough marbles before you trust somebody. And when your jar is full, then you can trust somebody fully. That's how long it takes to trust somebody. When you move with the toxic people, they will push you so quickly. It's going so fast. It's fasten seatbelts and move, because they want you to trust them before the mask falls off.
Yeah, I love that. And I think another really great tip is observation, because I didn't have to go so slow. Again, I was a very high level expert, but I didn't give him any of my time, attention that I didn't want like I used to. I just observed. How much did he pursue me? How much did he show up? How much did his words align with his actions? Was there any, all people who are unhealthy, they'll say they'll call at 4 and they don't call at 4. Their words do not align with their actions. So like, if you just sit back and observe if the man pursues the woman without control or force or pressure, and you feel your feelings instead of think things through, you can actually tell. I created a 24-hour first date filter. Within 24 hours after the first date, if this person is healthy or not. And the reason you can tell so fast is, again, you observe if they're talking about concepts or feelings. People who are unhealthy talk about concepts. They don't talk about their feelings. They, talk about the far out future, what they're going to create in the world, or the past of how they're a victim to somebody. They don't talk about the present. So there is systems that I've developed that help women almost instantaneously, 24 hours after the first date, through complete observation, see the behaviors of someone who will abuse you down the road, or people who are emotionally stable, which sobriety and spirituality are a big part of that.
What about boundaries? Because keeping your boundaries, setting boundaries when you just start with somebody, moving meetings, say, I can't come this evening, it will be tomorrow morning. Will they accept it?
Right. Or do they pressure you, or do they lose their temper? One of the things that when I was dating Adam, that I was being aware of, he was waiting for me outside with one of my friends, and I were getting ready to go out. And we took a little longer than we told him. And I came out and I was listening. Again, I was a high level observer at this point, and he did not say one comment of, what took you so long?
Yes.
Because people who have abusive tendencies have very low tolerance of they're not very flexible. They have impatience. Rigid. Right. Yeah. And their impatience and their ways that things have to be and should be and what's respectful and what's proper shows up in their speech. So they'll make a comment, hey, Carine, what took you so long? I've been waiting here for 10 minutes. And even though that seems so subtle, they're already pressuring you with time and expectation of their feelings and their waiting, and making you feel bad that you took too long. And it starts so subtly, but it just gets worse and worse from there.
It makes you feel ashamed and guilty.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to take so long. I'm sorry I kept you waiting.
Sorry. We should not.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Great.
Ah,
Carine, this has been a very powerful episode that I'm sure, maybe I'll have you on again that we can talk deeper. Where can people find you and find your book and find your beautiful artwork?
if they go to my website, it's just my name, carinevanhee.com. You'll find my art. I'm also on Instagram, but if you go on my website, there you can find everything. And I think if you're, my book, if you're unsure, you need some guidance. We all need guidance. We all need to turn around and say, I'm sorry, but is this normal? Is this okay what I'm feeling now? Is this like, we need somebody we can talk to? If you don't have that somebody, or if you don't want to reach out to somebody, read the book, because then you can feel it, you will see it. If you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's like a bridge between doubting and asking for help. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here. For all the people who are in relationships, who want to attract a relationship that is healthy and that is stable and that is safe, and you would like guidance on bettering your current relationship, or maybe leaving it if it's not that safe, or finding one that is safe to stop the patterns that you have had in the past, then please book a free discovery call with me. It's connectwithchaya.com. So connect with CHAYA.com. It is a free discovery call for you to hear yourself and get expert advice. Not good feelings or good intentions or sweet, no, but expert advice on what are the patterns of abuse, how to see if you're in it, how to leave it if you're ready, and how to avoid it if you want to create a new one to have a beautiful life that you deserve. So I'm Chaya Garcia, a relationship and dating expert. This has been a powerful episode of the 100% podcast where, yes, you're 100% effed up, but nothing that you've done and nothing that has been done to you ever diminishes how truly lovable you are. I'll see you on the next episode. Take